them. You know, they have those players that have the really high highs, really low lows, and if they could show up at the right moment, TL could find themselves with an early vacation.
All right, let's see what the bans are looking like here at the start. It's Skarner and Cassante banned out by Shopify on the red side. Ivern and Yeon banned out alongside that Zyra. So a couple of plant junglers targeted by Team Liquid. Let's talk junglers here a little bit, Azael, because I think Team Liquid fans are really looking at Umti this week to step up individually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Umti, you know, it's no secret, had a bit of a rough time last week, and honestly the first week as well, was not performing to the level that we kind of were expecting from him. And you know, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him as a result. You know, there was a lot of kind of negative attention thrown towards him at Worlds and now these first couple weeks. So I do think you're going to be feeling the pressure, especially when you know if you lose here, there's a couple weeks off, quite a few weeks off actually before Split 2.
Yeah.
And your team could maybe even be thinking about making changes or things like that. So that's got to be in the back of your mind. Whereas over on the other side, I do think Contractz, you know, has been performing a little bit better. And, you know, is one of those players that always seems to kind of have a good attitude and be able to keep himself in a good mindset, whether things are working out or are not. So Contractz, I think, you know, is going to be hungry to prove himself here against a big team like TL. And I think he's going to be feeling pretty confident in his matchup against Umti.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. I think that both of these players can be big drivers for the action on their respective teams when they're really on. And there's no time to be on, quite like win or go home types of stakes. That's what I'm looking forward to here. We are going to see Umti back in the Xin Zhao. This is a champion we have seen him on plenty of times before. Rumble locked in for TL. Over on the other side, Shopify have the Ambessa, they have the Corki, and it'll be Maokai, their final pick before the second half of the bans start rolling in.
Yeah, so very likely to be Maokai in the jungle. We, of course, do have that Ambessa, as you said. So Ambessa Rumble will be an interesting matchup up on that top side. Impact getting the answering pick and pairing that with a strong early physical damage jungler in the Xin Zhao will be pretty scary for the solo lanes there of Shopify. And we'll see what they want to work towards here. It's going to be the Pantheon ban, which we've seen Core playing. Also is quite popular in jungle, but they obviously have their jungler. And Core was really liking that Heartsteel Pantheon style and has been one of the guys that has really been popularizing that, you know, in solo queue here in NA as well.
Yeah, I use the Spectator client probably more than any other singular person in North America in terms of the thing in the League client.
By the way, 100% of the time when I log on League to play, Flowers is on, but he's spectating.
I am perma-spectate all the time, constantly watching Challenger games, high elo one tricks. I'm going to ignore your comment and instead focus on the CoreJJ Pantheon games, because ever since the new year started, this dude has been in there spamming Pantheon. Last weekend, Team Liquid didn't play until Sunday. Friday night going into Saturday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and couldn't get back to sleep. I log on League. Guess who's already in there 20 minutes into a solo queue game playing Pantheon? It's CoreJJ.
Yeah, you got to respect the grind, man. It's definitely a lot of fun. We do get the Poppy ban out here as well. Poppy definitely rising in priority also. We've been seeing it, you know, brought out across a lot of different roles. Elise support, you know, is another one that we got to see last week. Ayla had a really strong early game on it, you know, in their upset win, was able to get very far ahead. And Aurora, one of the ones that people are talking about a lot. Already last patch was quite strong, but especially now with the domination tree buffs, the electrocute buffs in particular, are really, really powerful on this character. So yeah. Makes a lot of sense here as a ban. Nico, I'm not really expecting that to get locked in. He's one of the ones that APA has gone towards, and of course we do see some Nico support, but going to be interested to see if we get Mel today, because Mel has been a big discussion. Some people think it's really overpowered and needs to be banned. Some people think it's absolute trash. Some people, you know, feel like it should be highly prioritized, and it looks like nope, never mind. Last second is going to be swapped over.
A little bit of cold feet there for the Mel. Instead, Taliyah is the option. Lots of power on that one, especially when you think about the Unraveled Earth and how good it can be at disrupting champions like Ambessa, who has so many dashes, like Rell, who
can't even mistime it, because Ambessa's always dashing.
She will never not just be dashing all over the place. It's very easy to get Unraveled Earth value. Rell as well, if she's jumping over top with that big, slow crash down animation, make it so when she lands, she's the one who's stunned, makes it more difficult to combo those engages. And Nautilus, I feel like this is just a CoreJJ classic for TL.
And I mean, point and click ultimate, going to be great to set up that seismic shove as well. So we'll see, you know, how that's going to work out, as Core will be, you know, the primary engage here. There's, yeah, sure, you can fish with the Varus ultimate and whatnot, but really the pressure is on Core to be the one to kind of make it happen for the team here, and we are just looking for that final pick. It is going to be the Orianna, which does have a lot of good ball carriers here with both the Maokai and the Rell to be able to send that ball into the back line, especially point and click. Someone like a Varus is going to have potentially a really hard time. Even the Taliyah, you get flash W'd by the Maokai with the Orianna Shockwave coming out over the top. That is going to make things very, very difficult. I'm kind of expecting on-hit Varus, I think, from Yeon in this one, because there is pretty beefy front line. You know, a lot of melee champions up there in that front line to go for, but some people do really prefer the lethality, so I'll be interested to find out what he's going to go for.
I mean, when I look at the Shopify comp, I see a pretty classically built composition with two big meatballs for the front line, one bruiser that can either front line or threaten back in the Ambessa, and then AP carry and AD carry. This is very textbook stock standard stuff. Meanwhile, over on TL's side, we already talked a little bit about needing to see Umti step up for their team. On the other side of the aisle, though, looking at Shopify, I really want to focus on Palafox, right? I think when we look at this guy, when we look at the series that Shopify played last weekend, fortunately for Palafox, a lot of people are going to remember the Yeon game where he stepped up, he had the big carry moment, he had the 1v2 in the top lane. They're like, damn, Palafox can play some Yeon. Unfortunately for Palafox, that was a tongue twister, it should not have been. He ended up having a really rough first couple of games, and I think that they really need him to not have those sort of weaknesses, those flubs, if they want to be able to contend with TL.
Especially coming off of last year where, you know, he was even vocal himself about playing some of the worst games he felt he had ever played. You know, I remember one Orianna game, actually in particular, where he literally said, that is the worst game I've ever played on stage. And that was coming off of a year where, you know, they went to Worlds, they beat G2, you know, they made all these things happen, and Palafox Contractz stocks were at an all-time high. They have now come back to earth, and they're trying to rebuild it.
You got to buy the dip.
Low.
That's what they say. You got to buy
sell
the dip.
Lower.
All right, this is not financial advice. Do not listen to Azael and I. We are not responsible if you're living under the bridge with Forrest after this. Now, let's see what Shopify and Team Liquid have got cooked up for this level 1. Do we want to get fast and loose nice and early? It doesn't really look like it. Bvoy just dropping the ward here on the enemy red buff early on, but they don't want to overcommit to anything.
Yep, exactly. I mean, we already talked about Palafox some, but, you know, talking about that Yeon game, we had some pretty incredible moments from it, and we're kind of looking back towards this. You know, this is the kind of play that he was able to pull off. This was the 1v2 in the top lane last week that was really able to turn around this game and kind of make it so it was impossible almost, it felt like, to come back from this position. You know, had a beautiful flash over the E, was able to win out this 1v1, then in came Audi, he wins out in that right after it as well, and it just put him in a position where there was like no real recourse, no way to come back, and this is Palafox at his best. You know, this is Palafox, you know, playing a playmaker, playing explosive, playing really confident, and that's what you want to see from him because we have seen that in the past. But we're looking for that consistency, and that's kind of what we've been hunting for over this past year or so from Palafox. So we'll see if he can get back there here against APA, who himself, I think, didn't have the hottest series, you know, last week, as they did get upset. And honestly, I felt like he was kind of, well, just straight up outplayed in that series. You know, it was way more about the opposing mid laner than it was about him.
Yeah, APA, although we do know this guy can hit some pretty big moments, like when the pressure is on. But let's see how things really shape up here in these early scraps. Bottom lane getting a little bloody nice and early on. Bvoy losing that barrier in exchange for CoreJJ's Ignite. Yeon throwing up the Pega Frog, just letting them know he's not too impressed by these early trades.
It is going to be pushing that in. It is going to be Hail of Blades here, so probably will be lethality for the Varus, very likely here. As Umti already in the area, wanting to make a move into the opponent's jungle. Pushing up towards this blue buff. Did a 3-camp clear on bot side and now looking to get in the face of Contractz. Contractz, though, on the Maokai, does have a pretty good secure with the Q Smite, so maybe not going to be the easiest thing here for Umti. And Contractz is just going to go around and start up on the Gromp. So right now, Umti is spending a lot of time on this, has gotten nothing done. He's already 1 camp down. He's about to be 2 camps down. And there is a chance that he doesn't even get that blue buff because that is on Vision. And again, Contractz can come contest this.
Yeah, I get where Umti's coming from with the thought process here, because his bottom lane has control. They have push on the wave. Meanwhile, top side, Fudge getting burned down by Impact. Umti still with control over the blue. He'll secure that one. He knows he's a better duelist champion. He knows his bottom lane has control over that wave as well. So it seems like it should be a green light to invade. It does end up working out, but it did cost him a little bit of extra time.
Well, that ward was actually so critical in the side brush there. So what Contractz was going to do is Contractz is saying, oh, you just took my blue buff here. Of course you're going to do the scuttle beside that, so I'm going to cross map. But that ward spotted Umti going up towards top side where he's anticipating Contractz will go. So that allowed Contractz to say, nope, I'm actually going to stay down on bot side. Huge. I'll be able to take this away, get an uncontested scuttle. So yeah, he does lose his blue buff, but still, tempo-wise, he's quite ahead. He gets a deep ward, and he can maybe even steal these Raptors here on respawn because of that information he gained from that one singular ward.
Every jungler knows how frustrating it is to lose your scuttle crabs or your buffs, but really losing the chickens is a bit of an insult of its own because you just want to be farming them on spawn. You always want to have your chicken tempo where it needs to be. Losing one of them feels bad, man.
It feels really bad, and it feels great for Contractz because at the end of the day, he gets that 6 camp clear just with one of his opponent's camps.
Bvoy taking some damage here, has to get back away from Yeon and CoreJJ. Zeyzal going in for a big engage there with a flash, but he does not find it. CoreJJ answering with a summoner spell of his own. Both of these supports do have Hex Flash, and that's going to be all they'll have for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, Core really respecting that. I'm not sure if he thought Contractz might have been behind him, you know, because when the Q misses, I feel like it's unlikely that he's going to die. You don't have that Shattering Strike to break the Nautilus shield or anything like that, and he could probably just walk it out, but did throw his flash in respect. Contractz now going to be able to defend his own Raptors here, so Umti, you know, still out on the map. Of course, the farm is pretty much dead even, but Contractz has already gotten his base off, already bought, so he is ahead in tempo and is going to be feeling quite happy about how this early game went. Of course, it is going to be phase rush on the Maokai and the Orianna. Yeah, you touched on it. You probably can't outduel the Xin, but you don't necessarily have to if you can just kind of bramble smash him away and walk out.
It's very hard for him to actually bring you down to dead if you don't choose to stand and fight him for an extended period of time. Contractz making the journey up through the jungle here in the top side of the map, but considering he walks over that ward that is about to expire, he disables it, but that still lets Impact know that he's around, and Impact backs up enough. Very even farm up in the top lane right now. Honestly, Azael, the whole map is looking pretty competitive across every single role.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very even, pretty much in all regards. Bot lane, we can see Corki's a bit behind. I think he maybe has an extra minion or two to farm up. You know, is going to be ending up still down about 6-7 CS, maybe even a little bit more if Yeon misses none on that bounce back. So Yeon and Core, you know, getting the advantage, but that's really the only one to be had so far in this game. And I have to say, Yeon and Core, while there have been some questions about TL, there really haven't been any questions about them. They have been very strong as a duo. They have been team fighting well. They have been still really looking like they are picking up where they left off last year. And that is very important because TL needs that point of power in the bot lane. They've really come to rely on them.
All right, looks like we're going to handshake our first couple objectives here. Nobody's really rotating to either one of them to help the junglers, and the junglers have just decided to go for opposite ends of the map. Umti working on those grubs, but instead deciding to leave the third grub and maybe come down to challenge for the Drake instead. Maybe it's not such a polite gentleman's agreement, but now APA is going to be in trouble. Contractz going in for the flash engage. Follow up from Zeyzal. It ain't going to matter. Seismic shove right on back, and Zeyzal's in danger. CoreJJ locks him up. Umti beats him down. Team Liquid is ready to answer the challenge, but Shopify ain't done yet. Core wanted to go for the dredge line, but it does not find it. APA hops off the wall, and he's ready to fall. Contractz falls. Yeon picking that one up, and Team Liquid just came out so far on top in that play.
Yeah, that is massive. They're able to get a couple of grubs, get down, get 2 kills, take the dragon. They get everything in that situation from Shopify, and it all went bad pretty early here. Credit to APA, as Contractz is the one flashing in on him, but the flash was in time from APA to be able to get out away from Zeyzal. Remember, he spent his flash down on bot side, so he's looking for the Hex Flash Q. Couldn't get it timed up perfectly there with Contractz. The CC layering is not on point. Ends up getting taken down, and ends up being a 1 fight there for TL as a result.
TL making the choice, leave the last grub, go contest the Drake instead, utilizing the power of the Taliyah with the wall. I always say whenever I see a Taliyah in a game, I always want to see you use that first ulti as soon as you can. Try to find efficacy in one of the side lanes, and boom, right there they do it. That's the kind of coordination I want to see from TL. That's the kind of coordination I feel like we see a lot of when they're at their peak. That's why everybody kind of scratched their head a little bit when Jat said coordination over to Shopify. But now, right as I'm praising them, APA in trouble. Shopify going in, looking for a bit of a payday here. They really want to make sure Bvoy gets it, and he will. Shopify on the board.
Why would you kill APA like that?
That's my bad, man.
That's messed up.
That's my bad.
It's supposed to be an impartial caster.
I know. I just completely cursed the man.
Curse.
That was some wicked magic right there. I'm sorry, APA. That is my bad.
Well, they are going to lose probably at least one plate down on the bot side. Umti will get that final grub up on top side, so that is going to be their second of the third kind of groups of objectives, or whatever you want to call it. But
yeah.
Fudge just used the public execution. He's going all out.
Yeah, Fudge wants this, and Impact could be in some serious danger now that Contractz is ready to join, but Impact doing a good job getting away to the safety of his team. Now wants to turn it around back onto Contractz. That Electro Harpoon misses. CoreJJ wants the dredge line. Contractz low. Impact still barely alive, and he will keep himself going just at the very tip, the very edge of the health bar. Beautifully done there from Impact on the Rumble. So close now. This has to be so frustrating for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Impact did a really good job buying time, and TL collapsed very, very quickly. Contractz really had no choice but to go back in with the Twisted Advance, because as that hook is coming forward, if he doesn't dodge it with his W, he's dead anyway, so his best chance is to try to go back in, try to get a kill. It does not work out. But just a really good job here by Impact in buying time. They know that Maokai is over here, so Fudge is going to go in with the public execution, trying to get the damage down as best as he possibly can. But Impact just kites it back into this corridor, drops the equalizer, and then is just able to kind of run back away to his team. Contractz slightly mispositioned that ultimate. You know, he wanted to use it to kind of slow down the reinforcements and hopefully section them off. Then had a really good W to actually dodge out on the Q there on the dredge line from CoreJJ, but just not quite enough damage to actually finish him off.
Want to praise the timing there of Umti's Zeyzal ultimate as well. That crescent sweep doing that little bit of extra distance to knock Fudge back and guarantee that the AoE on all those dashes from Ambessa can't finish off that last, what, 50, 75 HP
yeah,
that Impact had.
Incredibly close. You know, just another auto or two, or like you say, one more spell probably would have done it. But Impact now in a great spot, working towards that Leandry's first here. We can see the Hex Drinker was grabbed by Fudge. But when you commit to that sort of a build, you really have to be winning in the side lane, because you are going to be paper in the team fight. When you're looking over at Lethality Varus, at Umti here on the Zeyzal as well, you know, you have no HP, you have no armor, so it is going to be very, very scary, and we'll see if Fudge can get out of this one, because he is just getting absolutely cooked. When the 1v1's looking that bad and you built for the 1v1, you're going to have a tough game.
Yeah, that's the problem with that top lane play, just barely losing out, not having the damage by inches. Means that Impact is now pulling so far ahead. Umti wanted to jump in here. You could see the audacious charge of the minion. If the wind becomes lightning, then hits, he can slow Ambessa down enough to maybe get the knock up on 3 Talon Strike, but it is a pretty thin hitbox. Does miss out on that one, so Fudge can walk away. But hey, that is still a victory for Impact. Crashing the wave into the turret, getting the plate money. Now the teleport is demanded as the answer from Fudge back down in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, up here on the top side, you were talking about Yeon being the only meaningful CS lead earlier. He was up by a little bit over a wave. Now it's a lot more.
Yeah, 20 CS in the advantage. He got a kill. He has the early Swifties. Is going lethality, as we touched on before here. They're just going to continue pushing this in. TL up 1.7k. They're one objective here off of that Feats of Strength as well, because they got the Feats of Warfare. They got those first 3 kills. So they're feeling really good about their position in this game. And we'll see if Shopify can make any plays to try to turn things around. Most of their swings have not really worked out. They haven't been able to find those good engages from Zeyzal. Hasn't been able to really coordinate yet with Contractz. And Contractz, when he's gone in, has been punished both times.
Yeah, it's tough, man. When you fall behind and you're on one of these engages, when you're the frontliner, you just know that it's most likely a one-way trip every single time you're going in. He does have the Unending Despair, just good ball of stats for general tankiness, but Sundered Sky up and running for Umti at the same time. Very powerful item for scrapping or for big team fights.
I mean, Unending Despair is a good item, but it's one of those weird items where I feel like it's a snowballing tank item, where when you're already ahead and you're already tanky, it just makes you that much more tanky. But when you're behind and you're not really that powerful, it's hard to stay alive long enough to actually get value out of it. Exactly, to get the heals from it. It is still just an efficient item. It's still a solid item. I'm not saying it's a bad buy, but it is one of those items that feels like it's just so much stronger when you are already ahead, and from behind, I feel like I rarely get value.
All right, Fudge is going in for Impact yet again. There's help nowhere near as close as it was in the previous instance. Contractz is ready to rock and roll, and Impact is down to 200 HP. The Equalizer wants to bring Fudge with him, but it ain't going to happen. APA and Umti want to make it a delayed 1-for-1, and yes, sir, they will. Seismic shove into the unraveled earth, into the wind becomes lightning. It's the whole elemental shish kebab, and it's Fudge getting served up.
Yeah, I mean, Fudge just gets taken down there. I think should have had an idea that they could have been making the move because no one was answering Palafox as he was pushing in mid lane. APA, used that teleport to get down there. This is going to be the Dragon as well, so that should be the feats of strength here, grabbed by TL. It's a good kill there onto Fudge, but feels like not enough with the position of this game. You can see Bvoy going to be pushing out top side, but APA answering in kind down on that bot side, and TL just feel like they're getting further and further ahead.
And alongside those leads, they are going to go ahead and secure themselves feats off of that Drake take. That's 2 Drakes plus the first set of grubs. There's your neutral objectives. They're already the first to 3 kills. Easy for them. Extra mobility along with this team that's already so good at finding picks with things like the Nautilus and the Taliyah. It's just that much scarier for Shopify that are already down over 2,000 gold.
Yeah, it is going to be really tough potentially here. And Cloud Soul is going to be the spawn. Did get nerfed this patch, so is a little bit weaker, but still very powerful and considered one of those kind of S-tier ones these days. The move speed quite valuable, especially in a game like this where there is, I feel like, a lot of kind of chase down on both sides. When you're playing out in those side lanes, it's very hard to get away from it. Ambessa actually has Cloud Soul. Same thing is kind of true from the Rumble. When you have these double melee champions in those side lanes, it can be extra snowball-y, I feel like.
Well, I know that you and I have also talked before and have similar opinions on what is the strongest type of advantages to have in League of Legends, and those things being range and move speed.
Yep.
Right? Doesn't matter how much damage you have if you can't apply the damage, and those are the stats that help you apply your damage more freely and in a greater variety of situations.
Especially at a high level, right? Move speed and and range, I think, are less powerful when you are less good at the game because you're going to miss position.
If you're just going to stand still and shoot, it doesn't matter how fast you walk.
But at the pro level, when people are utilizing it to dodge all your skills, and when they're faster than you, they're just spacing your autos and making it incredibly hard to actually chase them down, but also incredibly difficult to escape. It just scales so well. I mean, that's why Zeri was so OP when Zeri came out, is those 2 things, move speed and range.
Very, very dastardly combination, as now APA hitting another one of those seismic shoves. Fudge trying to slash and dash his way around, but the unraveled earth is just ruthless against him. And this is kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier too. Although yes, Hex Drinker feels nice trying to deal with these AP solo laners in the side lane in terms of just your ability to go a little bit more even in the trades, it's slowing down that first real item power spike so much that it still doesn't feel great.
Yeah, it can be tough. If you can kind of dominate in the side lane, if you build for that, that can work out great. But if not, things can get difficult, and we'll see how it works when he does actually show up to the team fights.
Yeah.
As he does have that Brutalizer, still working towards that first completed item. You can see a lot of players are now on that first completed item. Archangel's basically there for both players. Triforce done, Ghostblade done down on the bot lane. Yeah. Pretty much everyone has that first item, and now Fudge does as well with the Cyclo Sword. And this is where Ambessa can start getting really strong. It just works so incredibly well with the kit because the recharge speed is increased drastically when you are dashing, and Ambessa is dashing non-stop. It also applies the slow on the proc, which is really nice to make it even more difficult to escape from this champion. So can be very, very difficult to deal with.
Very strong stuff as Shopify are going to start up the Rift Herald for themselves. They have lost every neutral objective on the map so far in the first 16 minutes of gameplay. They would really like to change that right here, being down 6 grubs, down 2 drakes, down 3,000 gold. They need to mop this one up nice and quick, and yes, sir, they will. However, Team Liquid's just saying, okay, take the turret-taking tool. We'll just take the turrets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they didn't need that third feat, but they were able to get it as well. They grabbed the first tower. They got the first 3 kills. They got the first 3 objectives. So they got everything. And they even got a lot of damage down on that tier 2 tower because APA had a ton of free time there, and now he's going to come mid, and they're going to pressure here.
Yep, they cut off Bvoy and Zeyzal from being able to reinforce at the tier 1 turret. Contractz is a little bit too close, taking a ton of damage here. They need a little bit more for the kill, and APA got paid. Nicely done from Team Liquid. Only needs a little bit more now into the health bar of the tier 1 turret, and that will fall too. APA's Weaver's Walls are looking good this game.
Yeah, they are looking really good. Impact's going to go top lane.
Uh-oh, Palafox sidesteps the first Electro Harpoon, makes space with the Shockwave. He's fine. Takes the recall here, but not going to feel... Okay, takes the...
He was really nervous about a potential collapse. He actually TP's out of there. Umti, though, in some trouble.
Yeah, Umti's got to get away from Fudge on this one. I don't think he wins these 1v1, but he does jump back in. That is the definition of audacious charge. To audaciously return to the fight to secure the frog and then leave. I respect that.
Got it. And this is one of those situations where, hey, if that's solo queue, Fudge probably chases you down and kills you, but because it is pro play and he doesn't know where everyone is, he's going to play a little bit more respectfully.
Right.
So Umti gets to kind of bluff a bit here that he is, in a stronger position than he actually is. and gets away with it. So TL looking incredibly good. Everything going their way, 4,000 gold in their favor. This is the TL that people really wanted to see, and this is a TL that can help to rebuild that confidence going into, you know, a tournament in Brazil, assuming they can take down Shopify here, but they are looking like game number 1 is going all their way.
Yeah, I feel like shy of an Otacon throw, there aren't a ton of avenues that Shopify is really looking at as, oh, here's our immediate path back into the game.
I agree completely. And the reality is, Otacon's a lot harder to throw than it is at Baron. Baron is just a way more dangerous objective, you know, and Baron, you know, as that 20-minute objective that we always had in the past, you always thought, okay, well, if they go too early, you can kind of kill them. Otacon, as long as you're dodging the abilities, really doesn't do that much. It's very easy to tank up. You can even solo it on some champions pretty comfortably. It's just slow. So it is going to be very difficult for Shopify to find a way back in here. And Otacon, I think, would almost certainly seal the deal from a position like this. They're going to be able to grab another dragon as well, so they're going to be on Soul Point here. Otacon's going to be coming up, and Shopify basically is already finding themselves in a one-fight game because this next fight is likely to be around Soul or Otacon, and those are two things you just can't give up when you're this far behind already.
Yeah, it's trouble for Shopify. I do like the fact that they were able to at least use the Herald that they took to secure the tier 2 in the top lane. It's not going to, it's like slapping a Band-Aid on this just massive gaping wound on your leg. You're just not going to be able to still walk very strong, you know, but it's something. It's better than no Band-Aid. Going to get 500 gold, shrink that gold gap down to lower than 4,000, but man, it's a tough game here so far. Still 0-0-0 for Palafox's Orianna. Has not died at all, but has not been able to make any plays so far on this big team fight champion either. Impact now securing yet another turret for Team Liquid up here in the top side. And whenever you see that message on the screen, man, you know that it's starting to get dire.
It's grim for sure. And Palafox is going to be in that point where, like I said, it's probably going to be one of those one-fight games. And one of the problems with that is everyone's going to have summoners over on the other side. And you're kind of really under a lot of pressure here as Palafox to find a multi-man shockwave to try to turn this around. But when everyone has summoners, it's very unlikely to be able to find that. So we'll see what Shopify does here. Otacon up. Of course, we are going to see TL playing around it. They do have some good ways to at least check brushes, you know, with the saplings, and to be able to check with the Orianna ball to maintain some vision to at least hopefully get an idea of if and when TL does start up this Otacon. But knowing they're starting it and being able to do something about it are two very different things.
So you're talking about all summoners being up. I just wanted to do a quick cursory glance since Otacon is now on the table. Team Liquid has absolutely everything. Shopify is close, but not quite. Palafox still has a little bit of time left before his teleport is ready. Contractz singing the same song about his flash, but there might not even be time. Yeon getting away from Fudge, who wanted to make the move over in the mid lane, but instead it's going to be turned around by Team Liquid. A little bit more damage gets it done, and Fudge is first to die. Umti flashing back away with a crescent guard, keeping him alive. A big equalizer comes down over top, and Zeyzal ain't going anywhere. APA is ready to jump right back into the fight. The unraveled earth set down in place as Palafox tries some fancy feet, but the rain of arrows find him regardless. A double kill for Yeon ends the fight 3-0, and Team Liquid's going back to Otacon.
Yeah, Shopify take their swing, but it does not land. I think we might have just seen the knockout punch there from TL. They're going to be right back to Otacon. They lose no one. They get all the kills, and they're going to be able to grab this and easily snowball that into a soul, into a dragon. We can watch it one more time. It's just Fudge saying, you know what, maybe we can actually catch Yeon looking here. He was cheating to that top side, so he finds him with the public execution. But again, the follow-up is so much faster from TL. They have the inside track. They collapse here very, very quickly. Even the teleport from Impact arrives really before any reinforcements come in from Shopify. Bvoy is kept out pretty much entirely by the Crescent Guard there from Umti. He couldn't really contribute. TL collapse, they play it really, really well, and despite Palafox trying to juke back and forth here, still gets hit by the piercing arrow, still gets hit by the E as well, dies, and you can see the frustration on his face there. He knows that really was their last shot in this game number 1.
It's so rough, man.
Here we go.
CoreJJ in the enemy jungle, looking to sit down this vision. And we talked a lot about this pattern of Team Liquid last year when they were the best team in the LCS for the majority of the year. How when Team Liquid gets ahead, it's the CoreJJ and Umti warding minigame. They just set up shop in your jungle, make sure that it is impossible for you to play the game with any amount of information. And that's what they're doing here again. Yeon's just hanging out with Core, making sure that if anybody face checks him, they're going to receive some damage in return as APA pushes up on the side. side lane. They've all got the false lives from Otacon. They've got a 6,000 gold lead, and they've only got to wait 75 more seconds until Dragon Soul is up.
Exactly, and I think that's why they're not just doing, you know, a suicidal dive on a tier 2 or something like that. We also did, of course, have the false life changes. It is a 15-second respawn now, so you can't just like full end and then TP back instantly and do something. You have to be a little bit more careful with it. We're going to see an engage, though.
Well, speaking of careful, Umti might need a little bit more care here. Does buy himself plenty of time with that ultimate, then the Blast Cone gets him back over APA's wall. So Team Liquid still feeling fine about this one. Yes, they lose the Taliyah ulti, but that's not that big of a concern considering everybody's still alive. They've got their waves pushed up. They've got control over the top side of the map, and now they can all reset, get their vision back, get ready to go out onto the bottom side of the map and secure this soul.
Big concern here for Shopify, though, is when you're looking at how could we possibly come back, there's now no Orianna Shockwave or Maokai ultimate for the spawn of this dragon. They may be up, you know, shortly after it does spawn, but not having those available is going to mean it's incredibly hard. You can see the Shockwave there in the picture-in-picture in the bottom left, pulling APA off of that ultimate, but TL fully confident, just going to be pushing up here in the face. They still have that false life here for a little bit and are going to be trying to play very aggressively with it. You can see Core is positioning behind them. They just want to fight right now.
Yeah, they're just jumping in for it. Team Liquid's ready to go, and they've got to be careful on Shopify's side. A ton of pressure into the back already as Bvoy's popping the barrier, just trying to get away, but CoreJJ got him. Contractz wants to escape, but the Maokai, flash or not, he's done, man. Team Liquid killing off the enemy carry plus jungle. That is a free soul. After that, Baron spawning in 25 seconds. You just couldn't time it better if you asked.
Yeah, it's looking really good here for TL. And remember, the upcoming LTA matches are going to be live from Brazil. That is coming very soon. On the 15th and the 16th, we are going to have matches with 100 Thieves as well as C9. It's still to be determined who exactly they are going to be playing.
Yeah, and from Brazil, we already have Leviathan and Isras Estral locked in. I know their logos because I've been co-streaming Brazil in the mornings.
Loud as well, I think, right?
Yeah, Loud won.
We don't know their seeding yet, though.
Right, yeah, Loud won their best of 3, 2-1 earlier this morning. So we'll be seeing them at the competition as well. I'm excited, man. I think it'll be fun.
I think so, too. It is going to be fun to see how the rivalries kind of develop between the North and the South. And both these teams obviously wanting to be a part of it, you know, not only to be able to compete and try to go to first stand at the end to try to be that split one champion, but of course, you know, when you are a team who gets knocked out early, guess what? You're probably the team that needs to practice the most, and you're going to be missing out on all these additional stage games, as well as some more, you know, kind of international practice there against our brothers in the South.
It's just like in League of Legends. If you're dead the whole game, you can't get more EXP. You have to make sure that you're not just gray screening it whole lane phase. Otherwise, how are you going to do the team
IRL
fights?
IRL gray screen getting knocked out.
Feels bad, man. All right. Well, for Team Liquid, it feels great. They're now Cloud Soul, 7,500 gold ahead. Total control over the Rift and putting the pressure on mid. Bvoy wants to sidestep the piercing arrow, but it's not going to happen. Long range from Yeon. Sends the message that this tier 2 is the focus for TL, and Shopify just don't have the men to try to defend. Instead, CoreJJ goes fishing and caught himself a Contractz. Easy turret, easy kill on the jungler. Hey, Azael, what happens when the enemy jungler's dead past 25 minutes into the game?
Baron o'clock.
I do believe that's right about where the hands are pointing. Team Liquid's going straight to it, and Shopify knows, man, this one's done.
Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty much been all done but the crying ever since they lost that fight before Otacon. They're still going to try. Only way you come back in a game like this, even if it's a 1% chance, is fight your way out. So they have to try to see if they can find something here.
Ooh, Fudge wanted to find something, but that execution was not public. CoreJJ on the front line now as Zeyzal's knocked back by the seismic shove. Yeon's on a rampage, and here goes this giant Weaver's Wall yet again. Palafox shoved right back into the unraveled earth, and APA's taking a kill there. Easy stuff for TL. 2 more kills for no answer on Shopify. A 13-2 game as Team Liquid have just not given Shopify any avenues back into the game. Now armed with Baron, the push gets even more intense.
Yeah, they're already about 11,000 gold ahead here. APA coming out of base has another item complete. Umti and Impact pushing up that top lane. You can see Core and Yeon pushing in mid lane. There's just no defense being mounted anywhere here for Shopify. You really just got to kind of choose your moment, see if you can find a way in, but not really any sort of an engage. So you can imagine them winning from this point, and TL are just going to go full court press. You can see all 3 lanes right now getting pushed up. APA going to be down in bot lane, making sure everything is going their way.
Man, That's just... So for Shopify, I feel like at this point, you've got to be mentally cutting your losses. Like, there's not a whole lot left you're going to do in this one. I feel like you got to be wanting to prepare better for the next game. Yep. And I honestly feel like this whole thing, we can trace back to what happened at that first Drake fight. Team Liquid making the better macro call to stop the grubs 2/3 of the way through and come fight the dragon. And then also outplaying Shopify on a micro level when it's Shopify with Contractz' Flash Maokai engaged that starts off that fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Zeyzal and Contractz weren't able to kind of perfectly line up that CC combo. Had Contractz flashed in there and Zeyzal's there with the Shattering Strike and the Crash Down and all of that layers and APA dies before anything happens, it could be a very different fight, right? So, that's the importance of both the macro and the micro, like you're talking about. TL made the better map movement and had the better performance in that team fight once they got there, and that's how you get a game like this to be this one-sided. Shopify will, of course, still continue to fight it out, but even the Chains of Corruption's missing, not really going to matter, and you have to just be thinking about game 2 and kind of what your adjustments are going to be for that second game, how you really want to try to come back in this series.
Team Liquid ready to put an end to this first one. Pressure onto the top side. Maokai ulti shot out by Contractz, but doesn't really find an opportunity to do a whole lot. He flashes in for the twisted advance. Impact is the target. He's going to try to take somebody with him, and he does get one. Impact is down, but so is the tier 3 turret. So is Palafox. So is Contractz. So is Shopify's chances at this game, and Zeyzal along with him for the cherry on top. A double kill for both the carries on Team Liquid. Only Bvoy is left, and these structures are getting bulldozed. TL ran the rift from start to finish. Ever since that dragon fight, Shopify didn't have a prayer. 17-3, not even 30 minutes on the clock. TL takes game 1.
All right, TL, there's been some criticism thrown your way after last week, but they're coming out here and they're showing they are not to be messed with. One best-of-3 loss does not mean TL are not competitors. They dominated this first game. This was an absolute stomp. And we'll see if they can make it a quick, clean, and easy 2-0.
Sometimes all it takes is getting upset once. Coach breaks out the belt. All of a sudden, everybody's standing up straight, making their pings on enemy summoner spells, playing the game by the book. Oh, man. Team Liquid does look good, though. They were looking really clean on that one. Reminder that LTA North Twitch subs are back. Join the community for exclusive content, including the League of Legends in-game emote, why not, for paid and gifted subs. Plus, get access to all of our exclusive LTA North Twitch emotes like mine. Subscribe to the LTA today. You might even be able to type feed in the chat. Try it right now. Now, we're going to head back over to the lounge to break it all down.